All right, everyone, we live right now. This is Octavius Prime. Under fair use, we're going to use a few videos to report the news. So right now we're using PBS News Hour or PBS News. Donald Trump released a statement not too long ago, and we're going to check it out real quick. Y'all sit back and enjoy. And we're going to watch a few clips. And there's some things that I've just learned today by looking into the story a lot deeper. So, you know what I'm saying? Sit back and relax. Comment if you like it. Your comments will show up on the screen and they will be permanently recorded. So, have at it. All right, let's continue.
Sir, was Mr. Pretti acting as an assassin? Do you think he was acting as an assassin in Minneapolis?
Who is that?
Mr. Pretti, your deputy chief of staff said that. You don't think so?
So they were saying that the man that just got shot, they were saying that he was acting as an assassin against ICE, I guess. So Donald Trump disagrees, as y'all see. Right now we're watching the PBS News. And I'm going to get my perspective on clips that we're going to watch together. And this is a very short clip, but we're getting an understanding from Donald Trump himself. Look like he's at the White House at this time. So you can see the White House in the background.
With that being said, you can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns.
What about the Second Amendment?
Listen, you can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. But it's just a very unfortunate incident.
What about the Second Amendment, sir?
We'll work something out.
Hey, just a minute before you move on. I want to say thank you for watching and for supporting us.
All right, so that's PBS. If y'all want to watch and support, watch that. So, yeah, I just want to come through real quick, and we're going to talk about if my connection works with me. So I hope we don't got no janky connection. So, I'm using OBS, trying to be fancy, so sometimes it acts a fool, and it look like it's acting a fool. But anyway, how y'all doing? So, yes, I've been participating in some of the marches myself around the country. I've been participating in it, as you see on my main page. For those that don't know me, I am Octavius. Okay. So I'm back now. Okay, we're back. So, yeah, like I was saying, that I want to give it from a black man perspective on a lot of things that's going on. I participated in the Trayvon Martin marches going back, I think, around about 2014. George Floyd, I was there at Black Lives Matter on my main page. You can see me there. And I've also been participating within this past 2 weeks in the anti-ICE marches due to the fact that I do feel like people are being mistreated. Now, I understand that there is a rule of law that is in the United States where we have federal laws and people need to have that paperwork in order and things like that. I totally get it. But I do see that this is going to turn into something really nasty where as far as the ICE agents, as you already see, Americans are being killed, but not to mention foreigners is being killed as well and harassed and locked up and things like that. So right now there's been this apathy within the black community where they feel that, just let the Hispanics and the white people, it's their time and things like that. But that's not how it works. So I'm a student of history. I watch history all the time. I'm American as American can get. My great-great-great-grandfather fought in the Revolutionary War. His name was John Toney. So I've been here since before America was America. My ancestors have fought in the Revolutionary War, Civil War, on both sides, believe it or not. So we had black people in my family that fought for the Confederates, fought for the Confederates, fought for the North. Every war my family was there to participate in, here in the United States of America. So I'm American as American can get. But what I do know is that, we should not have a standing army. And now we have a standing army under the auspices of police that's in our cities right now. And they're using this ICE thing, in my opinion, as a way of being like the Gestapo in Germany. Where's your papers? I'm in South Florida. Although I'm American, I could be targeted and they could say I'm a Haitian. I'm a legal Haitian. Sometimes I don't feel like taking my wallet out. I don't want to lose my driver's license, especially if I'm going out for a walk. All right. So I'm not walking around with my birth certificate, my social security card. I have my cell phone, that have my credit cards, my Cash App, things like that I walk around with. So that's pretty much it, so, I mean, if they start targeting people like me, I mean, I could easily end up in a concentration camp and go through the rigmarole, whatever, and just got to wait on a trial. And you see what the government is doing. They're making up excuses about a white man, in Minnesota, who's American, who had his Second Amendment and everything like that. And here in South Florida, that is something that a lot of white men take pride in, is their Second Amendment right to walk around and carry guns, and wherever they want to go, they feel like they can have their guns. I don't disagree with that. I'm more of a libertarian when it comes to political belief systems and everything like that. I have been absent from the body of politics for a long time. But the thing about it is, I do believe in small government, and most Republicans say they believe in the same thing, only when it comes down to the poor and the working class that's being targeted. So what you're seeing right now is the poor and the working class, that they're being targeted here in America, where you could have ICE agents walking around, pulling up to you, asking for your papers, like it's Nazi Germany. All right. So they pretty much know what the legals are. All right. And I understand that people got to follow the rule of law. All right. They have to follow the rule of law. But when it gets down to the point where there's loss of life and violence, and Minnesota has a long standing thing with police, violence against citizens. And we had Renee Good, and now we got Mr. Pretti, that have now died at the hands of ICE agents and whatnot. And this will grow. This will spread to other cities. It's not, and also we have a right to protest. We could be at protests in there. I was at a protest. Matter of fact, I just walked up on a protest the other day on my main channel. All right. I walked up to a protest. I listened to what they had to say. And for the most part, I agree with it. And now that is another loss of life. And I feel like Black people, I understand that we are tired of being on the forefront of these movements here, where we are supporting other groups. It's true. It's apparent. And other groups are right now experiencing racism. They're experiencing police violence. A lot of the Hispanics have voted for Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of this is self-inflicted to the Hispanic community, which is one of the largest majorities of immigrants. But are they attacking the Polish groups? Are they attacking Irish? Are they attacking Italian groups that, in Little Italy? Are they going to Chinatown getting some of these people? You know what I mean? It seems like it's a targeted group, a targeted effort against brown people from different diasporas, when it comes down to Latin groups, Arab groups, African groups, and things like that. Those that are there right now, they're understanding that they are not as welcome here in the United States as well. You know what I'm saying? And there are people that's fighting. There's multiple wars going on. There's white hegemony, where white people have been in the power seat for many, many years here in the United States of America. And they don't want to see that change come about. Birth numbers are going down. So it's a lot of white xenophobia that plays a big role in government right now, and Trump is capitalizing on it. And this is politics. This is what it is. This is reality. Just like we as Black people, we have to understand that we have to deal with the reality as well when it comes down to these things. All right. So I'm gonna play another clip. We got 3 clips we're gonna play. Got 3 clips we're gonna play, and to give everybody a more of an education on this. This is Fox News. This is Fox 11, Los Angeles. So we're giving credit to the content creator. Although we're reporting the news on the fair use, we're going to use this clip. Okay. We're going to use this clip for news reporting. All right. And this channel doesn't even receive AdSense at this time. So I got 100 watch hours to get before I even get that. So I've been on this channel for a little bit. All right. So let's go here. Pull this up.
And federal agents are using tear gas to disperse the crowd after a 37-year-old man was shot and killed during a federal immigration.
All right, so this is like new news. All right, this was what, 2 days ago? Well, this took place during the weekend. All right, this is after the death of Pretti, Alex Pretti. So I was saying Piet. I've been watching Star Wars. All right, so
Immigration operation in Minneapolis this morning. Authorities identified him as 37-year-old Alex Jeffrey Pretti, an intensive care nurse and city resident. Federal officials say agents were conducting a targeted operation when Pretti approached them with a handgun and was shot during a struggle. Are reviewing the incident as videos circulating online could show a different sequence of events. It is the third shooting involving federal immigration agents in Minneapolis this month. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem spoke about the incident tonight.
That this situation and this tragedy did not have to happen. Our law enforcement are doing everything that they can to protect the public.
So right now they are admitting that this didn't have to happen. Like this shooting didn't have to happen. So let's listen to get both sides of what happened on that day. So with Alex, so RIP Alex, RIP Renee Good, and I'm not a racist at all. So, and I'm not just going to be like a black man where it's just white people problems right now. All right.
We're praying for this deceased loved one's family and friends, but we also recognize that the Minnesota governor and the Minneapolis mayor need to take a long, hard look in the mirror. They need to evaluate their rhetoric, their conversations, and their encouragement of such violence against our citizens and our law enforcement officers.
Back here at home, protests throughout the area tonight. This is video from this evening at the Federal Building, downtown Los Angeles, where some of the protesters turned to vandalism. They also hosted a prayer vigil with speakers including State Senator Sasha Renee Perez. Here's a live look.
So this was taking place in LA. We had a protest I walked into on Friday. All right, so that's the protest that I recorded. I didn't have my sound working right. But it is, here and there. But we'll get it right. So we got another protest coming up here in West Palm Beach at the Times Square, at the City Square in West Palm Beach on Rosemary Avenue on the 2nd. All right, coming up next week, next Monday. So I'll be out there. I'll be filming that on my main channel. You guys make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'll be reporting on the news a lot more often. Leaving a lot of the garbage I've been dealing with on YouTube, just dealing with other YouTubers alone. And we're going to just focus on reality. All right.
Look from Sky Fox tonight as protests continue in downtown LA. You can see at this point they're starting to break up. Police have issued a dispersal order on Alameda between Temple and Aliso. All people must leave that area. If you remain in the area, you may be subject to arrest. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered in downtown Los Angeles today, protesting against ICE following the fatal shooting in Minneapolis today. Fox 11's Mario Ramirez joins us live from outside of the Federal Building.
Very clear, very clear. Tonight, protests
murdered in these type of situations. It's a civil rights violation. All right. Murdered in these type of situations. It's a civil rights violation. All right. It's a constitutional violation. So we have a lot of people that say that America But when it comes down to protests, you have a right to protest anything in the United States of America. Is in the Constitution. All right. So the right to free speech is there. All right. The right to protest is there. So I want y'all to understand that. So this is something that every person that understands what it means to protect the Constitution. You know, those that understand the rights that we have in what we call a republic. It's supposed to be a republic, not an autocracy. This is not a hegemony, supposedly. You know what I mean? This is not fascism, where you have a merger of corporate and government powers ruling the state. All right. And that's kind of where we're going with things, where corporations and billionaires get to determine where the country goes, and the people just have to sit there and suffer in silence and pay their taxes like good little lambs.
And to grieve what is happening right now in this country.
Skyfox overhead as crowds began gathering earlier in the afternoon along Olvera Street, marching to the federal building before hundreds more arrived.
I think they're just turning the temperature up and up and up, and they're just waiting to see who's going to be able to turn it down. That's what we're trying to do. Anything helps.
As the night wore on, there were a few isolated, tense moments between protesters and LAPD, with demonstrators yelling at officers about allowing ICE to continue its operations.
We have seen that this is a system that will not change unless the people change it. So we think we need a new system, in fact, and we think that the people have the power to build that new system.
Anybody can do.
So we think we need a new system, in fact.
All right, so hold on, guys. Give me a second. I'm trying to get some things straight. All right, so hold on, guys. Give me a second. I'm trying to get some things straight. All right, we should be up and running. So let me go back and play it. All right, so the audio's a little janky. This is the protest. What we were planning the protest. The next one is going to take place February 2nd in West Palm Beach, Florida. This was in front of the coffee shop called the Subculture Coffee Shop. So if you guys are in the area and you want to be out there on February 2nd at, I think, 7 p.m. Yeah, it's February 2nd at 7 p.m. We'll be out there protesting on Rosemary at the City Square and City Place.
Shutting down the capitalist economy. That's why we're organizing the Anti-Trump Coalition. The coalition is the real resistance, not just words, but action. We believe that the best defense is a good offense. And that's why Attack is asking everyone here to join us. We want to build the broadest possible movement, not just to fight Trump, not just to fight ICE, but to take down the entire system that gave birth to. Attack is building for a demonstration on February 2nd because the Wall Street Journal is hosting an invite-only conference in West Palm Beach titled Money, Power, and Policy. Their goal is to bring the top 100 CEOs of Florida, who are the same billionaires who profit from ISIS terror and Trump's regime, together to discuss their priorities and vision for South Florida. We, the people who live here, are not invited. The agenda and relationships created this conference will greatly influence working class people who live here, or powerful financial interests who see South Florida as an opportunity to profit. The primary sponsor of the event is billionaire developer Stephen Ross, whose companies have played a major role in real estate, and his associates have attracted major investments and have attracted major investment firms like BlackRock to West Palm Beach. The result has been rising costs, displacement of working class residents, and a region increasingly shaped around elite priorities instead of public needs. We need to have a visible presence in this event, showing that South Florida is not the playground for billionaires.
And I'm gonna be honest, it was just me and one other black man, and he was wearing the rainbow shirt at the event as far as black representation. And I think it was a black woman there. I don't know if she was just there stopping to just watch, but it was very little African American support. And like I said, I'll get into the commentary after we watch a little bit of this. And I think I got one more news reel for you guys, and then we'll get into it. All right.
So on Monday, February 2nd, at 7 o'clock, attack plans to organize a major disruption of this.
So yes, it will be Monday. Monday at 7 o'clock, February 2nd. They'll be having a protest. I will be there. I will most definitely be there. And I'll be on my main channel streaming it. So if you guys want to see that in real time, and I have a better connection down there because we're going to be at the city square. So I have a better internet connection down there. And I'll make sure I have the proper microphone for their event. So this one, my headset was on, and it had the sound cancellation, had the surround sound cancellation. So that's why you couldn't really hear everything. So it's really, when you got the headset on, it's made to just hear someone talking basically outside of, the calls like that. So I learned my lesson. So next time we'll make sure that we have the proper audio.
Event. The more people that we can mobilize, the more disruptive we can be. That's why we need your help. Attack is inviting everyone here to join us building for.
And the name of the organization is called Attack. All right.
The event starting right now.
All right.
The event starting right now. We want everyone to pair off with the team to help us canvass this entire city. We're starting with Comatose and Rosemary. Teams of 2 or 3, or I guess maybe more. And Rosemary. Teams of 2 or 3, or I guess maybe more. Can cover either.
And this Saturday, I'm going to meet up with some of the protesters, and we're going to go canvas, pass out flyers, try to get more people to come to the event on February 2nd. They had a visual yesterday. I wasn't able to make it. I think that was in Lake Worth. I wasn't able to make it, but I'll be there February 2nd next week.
Their side of the street, stop everyone that they see, tell them about our plans, offer them a flyer, and invite them to join us. We want comrades in every word, every business, and talk to them about what's happening and why they should join us. Once we're finished, we meet back here and talk about our next move. Now, February 2nd, we need volunteers to canvass every town and every city between here and FAU and everywhere in between. But before we start that, we actually have a guest. His name is Tony, and he's going to tell us about an action that we'll be co-hosting tomorrow. Hi, everyone.
So my name is Cody. The black man there was there. That's the black man I'm telling you about. And like, you could go and watch the video on the other page. So my other page is Octavius Prime. Just type that in, and you should see it with 6,000 subs. Sub to that page as well if you want to see the full video. So there was some. Of course, there were some Hispanics there that were protesting with us or whatever. But you do see it's a lot of white people. It's a lot of white people that were there for that, and I appreciate people like that have the spirit to just feel like stand up for what they feel is right. And many people are in these protests, I don't think that everybody has the same political beliefs or whatnot. I can probably almost guarantee I don't have the same political beliefs as the majority there, but I'm a person that is pro-life. You know what I mean? I'm radical pro-life when it comes down to the preservation of life. Okay, so so that's supposed to be a part of the right. Okay, so that's supposed to be like a right wing thing or whatever. But I'm pro-life when it comes down to just life in general. Okay, preservation of life, and you know, I try to stand up for anybody that's like taking an L, especially those that are murdered by the institution. You know what I'm saying? Of, you know, whether it's state or federal government. So let me let y'all hear what he have to say, and I'm get back to the newsreel, and then I'll get into my commentary in a minute, in the next 20 minutes, and I'll talk to y'all directly from my point of view.
I said for the American Federation of Government Employees, they were a nurse at the VA working in hospital. I did not work at the Minnesota VA. I worked in West Palm Beach. That's where my union covers on.
So he's a veteran that works for the VA. And I think Alex may have been a VA employee as well. So he talks about that at this part. So the audio is kind of choppy. My apologies for it, but I want to show y'all that, yes, I'm outside being active. I'm not just a person clout chasing these stories. I'm really outside active. You know, you see me outside. I'm sitting right there. Okay.
So we're going to have a visual for my fellow worker and also my fellow union. Tomorrow at 4:30, you guys want to bring sign. I did.
So Alex was part of the same union as this man here.
This is a picture of him, and then there's also a letter he got to get him off the table in front of him, basically giving a little rundown of what we're doing tomorrow. Just having a visual. So you asked if you got to come out to a thing in respect of our VA members, but also we're doing a lot at the Navy. Here locally, we have a rally that we want to have on the 21st of March.
So as you see, Alex is he's not just a nurse, he's also a government employee. All right. So Alex is an all-American white man that died at the hands of ICE. And I could almost guarantee the powers that be didn't see that coming. You know, he was like a Green Bay Packer fan or something like that as well. All right. So, you know, he's total middle America.
On 21st of March, it's all weird. Thinking about the VA, they're talking about and how that's I started both roles. I'm a veteran myself. I work with the VA, and I'm on the VA.
All right, so you see that he worked with the VA. He is part of the same union as Alex. All right, so the audio's choppy, so what I'm going to do, but I'm going to just tell you guys from me being outside, it was very enlightening. I don't want to play it. You can go through the video and see if that's the comments that were being made. Well, some people are just saying they support ICE, they support people, their treatment and things like that that's going on. And a lot of people can care less. Now, the thing about West Palm Beach, and even YouTube made a clip for me. I didn't publish it. But the thing about West Palm Beach, we do have Sylvester Stallone here. We have Sylvester Stallone here in the city. And we also have Donald Trump that live in the city. As you can see on my main page, I have videos of Sylvester Stallone that are up that I saw him at Publix or whatnot. And that video was stolen from me and put on Twitter, of all things. Somebody stole that video and put it on Twitter. But, you know, it is what it is. But the original video is on my main channel. So you got Sylvester Stallone here. You got Donald Trump here. Donald Trump lives less than 4 miles away from my home. I can literally walk to Mar-a-Lago if I wanted to. I got 3 videos on the other page of Mar-a-Lago driving by. I used to work at Mar-a-Lago a couple of times. But I've been there at least 5 times, Mar-a-Lago. All right. So Donald Trump has a lot of history in this area. So a lot of the residents are proud of the fact that Donald Trump lives here. that's another dynamic about it. All right. So I'm going to play a little bit of him more, and then we'll move on.
So we've asked about to show.
All right, we should be back. All right, we should be back, y'all. We back in full effect. All right, cool. So let me see where we at with it.
Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Kelly O'Donnell in Washington, where the White House appears to be shifting strategy amid the growing fallout and public outrage after deadly shootings by federal officers in Minneapolis. Right now, President Trump is on the ground in Iowa, where he's set to speak on his economic agenda as the White House tries to pull the headlines back to the president's affordability agenda and away from the backlash over his immigration crackdown in Minneapolis. We will bring you the president's remarks live when those happen. And this all comes as the administration has entered damage control mode over its deadly actions in Minnesota, with the president moments ago calling the killing of ICU nurse Alex Pretti by a Border Patrol agent very unfortunate, after earlier today telling reporters that he would personally oversee the investigation into Pretti's shooting.
We're doing a big investigation. I want to see the investigation. I'm going to be watching over it. I want a very honorable and honest investigation. I have to see it myself.
That investigation already facing enormous scrutiny after White House officials made inflammatory claims about the incident and the victim that are contradicted by multiple videos from the scene. The administration is now switching up its team on the ground in Minneapolis, pulling out controversial Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino, who has been seen using aggressive tactics against demonstrators. The president was asked about that moments ago.
Mr. President, why did you decide to shake up your leadership team in Minnesota and send Tom?
I do that all the time. I shake up teams. Everybody here, these are a lot of owners of farms and places, and you shake up your team. If they can't do the crops fast enough, they got. Look, we have an incredible team. We did something that nobody said was possible. We didn't go back to Congress and ask for legislation. We closed the border, and in the last 8 months, they have, and this is actually hard to believe, nobody crossed the border.
You say nobody crossed
in
the border.
In Bovino's place, the president sending in border czar Tom Homan, who met with local officials today.
Say nobody crossed the border,
including Governor Walz. Walz saying in a statement that he reiterated Minnesota's priorities to Homan, including impartial investigations into the shootings involving those federal agents and a swift, significant reduction in the number of federal forces in Minnesota. Walz also announcing that he's appointed a liaison from the state's Department of Public Safety to work with Homan. President Trump says Homan will report directly to him, bypassing DHS Secretary Noem. But he's also telling reporters today that he remains happy with the job Noem is doing.
I think she's doing a very good job. The border is totally secure. You know, you forget, we had a border that I inherited where millions of people were coming through.
The White House also says it plans to reduce the number of Border Patrol agents in Minneapolis. The shifts in the administration's strategy come amid a major backlash among Democrats and a growing number of Republicans. 12 Senate Republicans are now calling for an independent investigation into Pretti's killing, with some Republican governors now also speaking out.
We need to have respect for law enforcement officers in the country. ICE, they are law enforcement officers. And so
I want y'all to understand that ICE is law enforcement officers. For y'all that don't understand, they're not just there to enforce taking away the immigrants. Like when they run up on you, you can be like, well, I ain't no immigrant, mother sucker. Well, you know what I'm saying, you know, all that little shit. You resisting arrest, you messing up officer's investigation, you know what I'm saying? You impeding investigations, you doing all kinds of stuff you're threatening a federal officer, all kinds of shit. So when they pull up on you, you could be American as American pie, and you could think, well, that's just for the Mexicans. That's just for the Mexicans, you know? And then they could ask you for your papers. They could ask you, where's your driver's license? And most of us, we don't go, if we don't, we have our driver's license in our car, or we're like have it at home. If we're walking, we're outside, we're just walking. And next thing you know, I'm outside walking or something like that. ICE agent pull up on me and ask me for my ID. And he feeling like, hey, I need an arrest today. You don't have your wallet on you. You don't have your license on you. You know, you getting in the van, you may disappear for a couple of months till you see a judge. All right. So what he just said, they are law enforcement officers. All right. They're law enforcement officers for Alex. Okay. And Renee Good. All right. You're not like, they're not just like, oh, you can push them around because they're ICE. Okay. You know, try that with a federal marshal or FBI agent. You know, they're all law enforcement.
Being the White House need to recalibrate on what needs to be done to make sure that that respect is going to be reinstilled, and that's not an easy task, especially under the current circumstances. But I know that they're working on a game plan to make sure that they are going to, let's say, recalibrate and maybe work from a different direction to ensure that they get back to what they wanted to do to begin with, and that is to remove people from the country who are here illegally.
I think the death of Americans, what we're seeing on TV, it's causing deep concerns over federal tactics and accountability. Americans don't like what they're seeing right now. You know, we believe in federalism and state rights, and nobody likes feds coming into their state. And so what's the goal right now? Is it to deport every single non-U.S. citizen? I don't think that's what Americans want.
That criticism from governors comes as new polling shows approval of the president's immigration policy has fallen to its lowest level since his return to the White House a year ago, as he also wrestles with low approval on the economy and the cost of living, the issues he's expected to make his focus when he speaks in Iowa this hour. Now, joining me is our team of reporters. NBC senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez. NBC's Morgan Chesky is in Minneapolis, and also with me, NBC senior justice reporter Ryan Riley and NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach. Gabe, let me begin with you. And what can you tell us about how the president has processed these events and how they've unfolded, the reaction to it, and these changes he's making? What stands out to you?
Well, Kelly, this has been a dramatic shift in tone over the last several days, as you've mentioned. And according to a senior administration official, the president was shuttling between the Oval Office and his private dining room here at the White House on Saturday, watching the news coverage unfold. And according to this official, he grew increasingly disturbed by the violence that he's been seeing on the ground in Minneapolis. And this official adding that the president doesn't like to see chaos under his watch. And so fast forward through Monday morning when you heard the president make that announcement that he was sending Border Czar Tom Homan to take over operations in Minneapolis. Yes, this is a significant shift in tone. And this comes after top advisors to the president, including his deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, and also officials with the Department of Homeland Security had made several assertions on Saturday that appeared not to have been borne out by the video evidence so far made public. You just heard the president, disagreeing with some of his top officials in terms of the characterization of Pretti, who was shot. So certainly this has been a significant change over the last several days, and the White House now shaking up this leadership with that soundbite you just played from the president. President saying that, he can shake up his team if they're not getting the job done, essentially, Kelly.
Let's take a look at some more of what the president said today. This was our first chance to see him on camera extensively asking and answering questions from reporters about the shooting. So let's look and get a sense of what the president says here as he was questioned by reporters.
And, I want to say this. This is what people wanted from the George Floyd situation as well. Okay. And I hate to throw that in there because I know that aggravates some people, but how all of these senators and governors are coming together. This guy was, Alex was a federal employee. He was a he was a white man, he was an American, and things like that, and they're looking into an investigation with Alex Peretti. All right, so they're looking into an investigation with it, and even Trump said he wants to oversee it himself. As you can see, and you can see that this is a divide in respect for human life in America when it comes to one class of person versus a white working class federal employee. And this is obvious. All right. So I understand the frustration with a lot of black people that are looking at this, and you see these senators and governors, they're all aligning. You know what I mean? We lost Renee Good, we lost Alex Peretti, and now we got it where these governors, the president himself, they all want to respect this man's legacy and life, and as they should. And I think, moving forward, that's why I'm part of the marches as an African-American man, to respect life as well. I was there for George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, everything. So, Black Lives Matter, everything was there. I got the megaphone, everything right now. I got 2 megaphones. Matter of fact, I got an extra megaphone. I might even bring it to, I'm gonna bring it to the march and lend somebody one, right? So I got 2 megaphones. I'm gonna be using them this weekend. And so anyway, I just want to make people be aware of what's going on and also respect the rule of law when it comes to Americans, no matter what race, and also human decency when it comes to people, human beings, immigrants, and things like that. All right. So let's also keep that as a focus as well, because now it's becoming more about Renee Good and Alex, since their deaths. It's kind of shifting, and he is a martyr in the sense of he was out there for the movement. All right.
Reporters.
Acting as an assassin in Minneapolis.
Who is that?
Mr. Pretti, your deputy chief of
No,
staff.
not isn't it? No. With that being said, you can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns. You just can't. And you can't, listen, you can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. But it's just a very unfortunate incident.
So notable.
Now, they say you can't walk around with guns, right? So I told y'all I used to work over there. There's a place, I think it's called Beautiful Street, but it's a place in Palm Beach, right down the street. I know Palm Beach better than Donald Trump. Like, I literally do. I used to go all up and down Palm Beach. Like I said, I usually go to Mar-a-Lago. I work for the gas company, and the guys that paint the ground. When I needed a job, I did that job for a while. Got paid okay, pretty good. I did it for about a year and a half. So I used to go in front of Mar-a-Lago, and this was when Trump was out of office, and even when they had it was restricted from time to time. Hey, I go through that because I work for the gas company. All right, so I could go walk right in front of Mar-a-Lago and mark up the grass and mark up the curb, and I enjoyed it. I literally enjoyed it. All right, it gave me power. All right. But there are guys over there, security guys over there. When you go to a certain street that's south of Mar-a-Lago, there is a spot there. There's these guys that come up in black vans, literally. And I worked for the gas company at the time. They would pull up on me with 45 magnums on their hip, okay? And asking me with no badge, nothing. Asking me what I'm doing, this, that, and the third. And when I used to go to that spot, it's a house or something they were building that was bigger than Mar-a-Lago. I don't know who's supposed to be living there, but in Palm Beach, there are certain areas, and sometimes you would ride in front of Mar-a-Lago, there would be armed guards or private security sometimes back then. Right now, it'd probably be military. It'd be like Secret Service, but it'd be some guys standing outside with AR-15s randomly standing in front of Mar-a-Lago. All right. So right now it's like a restricted. So then you have guys that, you ride in front of Mar-a-Lago, you don't be surprised to see guys like you see when you go to the White House with snipers, you know what I'm saying, on roofs or standing out in front of the grass. Just go to my main page. You can see I've been to Mar-a-Lago multiple times. I worked in Palm Beach. I've been at every alley, every road in Palm Beach. I think it's called Flower Street or something. But if you go in there, actually they took if you look at on Google Maps, you really can't find the street. It's south. It's a little bit like a mile south from Mar-a-Lago. All right. So if you just go over there, you check it out, and they got some back then, this was like 2-3 years ago. So things most likely have changed, but it's somebody over there that's very well protected, and these guys walk around with guns. You know what I'm saying? Look like Blackwater or some shit. All right. So it's funny hearing it for somebody that's being protected by guys that walk around with guns with no badges.
There, Gabe, of course, he is distancing himself from Stephen Miller's comments that painted.
And when I would go there, I had to get one of the people. I don't know who these people were. They had to do did a facial recognition on me before I could go into the complex. And I was escorted. That's the only spot in Palm Beach. I was escorted by an armed guard everywhere I went on that place until I was done. And even when I went to Mar-a-Lago, they didn't even do me like that. So I don't know if that's what the president was really living or whatever, but at the time, but it was these guys walking around there with guns.
Pretti as an assassin, and then also at the same time he's taken some resistance from notable gun rights groups, the NRA and others, about the claims that he and now others in the administration have made about you're not supposed to have a gun at a protest, which of course is in conflict with the Second Amendment. What is your sense of how the president is walking that line and how it may be drawing further criticism?
Kelly, it's
as a libertarian, for you libertarians out there, how is that possible? Where is this rule in the Constitution? You're not supposed to have if you have a right to bear arms, where does that nullify when you practice another right? Like, where is that in state laws? Because I've read the Florida Constitution, is nowhere in there. As a matter of fact, as a white man in Florida, if you look up the old Florida Constitution, it was the law that you must have a gun on you. You must have a firearm on you. It is the law. It's in the Constitution in Florida. Any man over 21, or something to that effect. If you look at the original Florida Constitution, any white man over 21 must have access to carry a firearm, something to that effect. Something to that effect. We'll look that up another time.
Very interesting. The president said that today, and also doubled down on that again in the event just a few moments ago in Iowa, saying he didn't like it that Pretti had a gun. Certain members of his administration have had to clean up their comments from earlier in the weekend. The FBI director, Kash Patel, reiterating his commitment to the Second Amendment after making some initial comments suggesting that protesters should not have had a gun. But certainly you addressed this in your question, Kelly. The NRA.
Yeah, so for example, like I said, this would tie into the libertarian aspect of, political rights. You see people like Rand Paul, son of Ron Paul. I think he's a Republican, but his father was like a libertarian. And so the whole thing about libertarians is they're supposed to be staunch constitutionalists, and you just can't make up constitutional rights or deprive people of constitutional rights when it's convenient. All right. So the fact that he had a gun on him, it's alarming to police. Police want to protect themselves, and we got to understand that fact as well. But when it comes down to what is constitutional, and the NRA is staunch, there are many right-wing groups that are going to be pushing against Trump and anybody speaking against the access to firearms, which is the Second Amendment right, as you see the reporter talking about. So me being a student of history and the Constitution and what's written in the Constitution, things like that, you would start to understand. When you understand the Constitution, you understand a lot of the movements that are taking place around you. And the reason why you have groups like the NRA that are now speaking up and say, hold up, now don't say that he can't have a gun, because that is a Second Amendment right. He was practicing the First Amendment right. He was practicing the Second Amendment right. All right. So understand that.
Other gun rights groups don't like to hear that kind of language, that while the protester, according to the administration, they argue he may,
but it's all legal. It's all reported with, the ATF and everything. Everything was illegally bought. And I could proudly say what I have. All right. I could proudly say what's in my possession. I'm legal. I can legally own it and legally protect my home. And I practice the Second Amendment, which we have a right to do. Alex was doing the same thing as well. So this is not just a left-wing argument now for those that want to say they are Donald Trump people. This is also a right-wing argument as well when it comes down to gun rights and gun right advocates. So understand that this is why things are starting to morph the way that they are. There are changes that's going, because what Alex's death has invaded and stepped into the space of the Republican argument or the libertarian argument when it comes down to the Second Amendment, and people are going to fight for his rights. And we must not forget that Alex does represent the dominant society, which is white, and he's a white American man. Okay. He's a working class American, not to even mention he's a federal employee. Okay.
Members of the administration have tried to kind of clean up those comments and stress that they do believe in the Second Amendment. The president today coming out and saying that he does not think Pretti should have had a weapon at that protest, Kelly.
There'll be more to hear about that, I'm sure. Thank you, Gabe. We appreciate it. And all the questioning you've been doing of the administration on this as well. Let's turn now to Morgan, who is in Minnesota, to get a sense of what the reaction on the ground is now that people are learning about this shift in the administration and how they're going to change up the staffing. Is that easing concerns? What are people telling you?
Yeah, Kelly, great question. I think it's too early to say that there's any cautious optimism here. I think there's more curiosity and even a little apprehension just because of what this community has witnessed over the last several weeks here, seeing the killing of Renee Good on the streets of Minneapolis, reacting to that, and then to have that followed several weeks later by the shooting of Alex Pretti, not far from where I'm standing, which now led to this growing memorial, just created a sense of sadness, of anger and frustration. And so with the people that I've spoken to today who have come to pay their respects to Pretti, they are looking at this leadership change with ICE operations, and they certainly are acknowledging on one hand that it appears.
I just want to give credit to the news station. This is NBC News Now. So this came out 5 hours ago. We're just doing a go ICE, get them all, someone says. Someone said they want a black Donald Trump. They want a black Donald Trump. This guy's such an idiot. Thank you for your commentary. All right. Much appreciated. But you're here listening to my idiotic ass. All right. Also, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? If you want to call me an idiot, support my channel as well. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to just give it to you raw and real.
Appears to be a shift. They are well aware of the conversations that Home is having with Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey today, but they are waiting to see what happens now in the next few days, in the next few weeks, to see if this, what they called kind of an environment of fear that has pervaded this area, continues to do so. One woman telling me that she knows of friends who aren't letting their children go to school because they're concerned of the ICE raids here. Others businesses keeping their doors locked and operating in a come up and knock basis, hoping that that would protect them from a potential.
I just want to say this. I live in West Palm Beach, and right now it's like 50 degrees or 40 some degrees right now. And it just got cold. Like y'all up in Minneapolis, like, and it's like ice cold and it's ratchet up there. I mean, it is busy up there. You would think it's like Miami or something. All right.
ICE warrant, so that even if you're not directly affected by that, the degree of separation here is very minimal. And I think that's why we've seen such a collective response, a pushback rather, against the activities here by federal agents. Kelly.
And are you getting a sense, Morgan, that people on the street are more or less willing to take out their phones and take video of these interactions? Is there a sense that they know those videos made a critical difference, or they might draw the attention of ICE? Is there a sense of how people are feeling about showing up and being on the street? Is it too risky, or is it something they feel an even greater
That's a great question, because I'm doing the same thing.
Responsibility to do?
Well, they certainly don't feel discouraged to do so, particularly in light of the multiple angles that.
If you're outside and protesting, have your cell phone on. If I'm outside, I'm giving out flyers or anything like that, I'm going to be streaming on one of my YouTube channels, period. So that way, if anything does happen, because I have no intention to harm no police or fight no police or fight against the system, or, you know what I'm saying, I'm a black man mad at the white man and I'm finna attack the policeman or nothing like that. Like, I want y'all to get that on record. Octavius does not want to fight no police or harm no police for nothing. All right. I'm just out there to just be with the people. Okay. So I would suggest if you out there, have your camera on. It is not against the law to film police officers. They have their body cameras on already. So that's not a problem. All right. It's not a problem to record a police officer, even over the phone, believe it or not.
Captured that fatal encounter with Alex Pretti, giving not one, not two, but half a dozen views of him being taken to the ground by federal agents and then shot repeatedly. I asked that very question, to people here the other day. When you watch these videos, what did you see take place? Someone said murder, another said an execution, and even in sub-zero temperatures, not today, but in days prior, that certainly didn't appear to significantly discourage some people from coming out. We know that within Minneapolis, Kelly, there is an organized system of communication on the activities of ICE agents. I haven't had a chance to speak to them personally, but that almost operates as a separate entity from some of the demonstrations, some of the protests that we've seen in and around this area. But there is certainly no relief here just yet. Too early for that. Very much a wait and see, because these folks have now been going on 3 weeks of an anxious feeling of fear, and in some cases, almost hopelessness. Whenever they hear federal officials say that Alex Pretti approached these agents with a gun, and then they can see multiple videos contradicting that entirely. Kelly?
Morgan, thank you so much, and we'll stay in touch with you as people get a sense of, are these changes something that they can feel, or is it something that's going to need time to play out? So we thank you for that.
So I just want to say that in a lot of cases, if there is no video evidence, then pretty much with all the things that we saw, even when the Black Lives Matter marches, with multiple police shootings, when there is no evidence of videotape or whatnot, most likely the police officer or the perpetrator gets away. All right. The majority of times. All right. We saw in the George Floyd situation where we all saw the officer put his knee on George Floyd's neck. And even with that, he didn't stream it to social media. If you have social media, 99% chance you have most of you guys, you know what I'm saying, that are like Generation X on down, you have access to Instagram. Stream it to Instagram, stream it to YouTube when you're outside, okay? So the whole time I was outside passing out flyers, I had my camera on, all right? Had my camera on. The audio was shit. It wasn't that good. But if something were to happen, at least there's some evidence of what happened, okay? At least they can't say that my right hand was reaching for something. I got my cell phone in my hand. And I got my cell phone on the left hand, and I got in my right hand, I'm passing out flyers. So how can I try to reach to do something to an officer, okay? So officers are paranoid in these situations. They are human as well. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to be more objective as possible. So they're humans as well. So they want to go home to their families, and sometimes it's like I'd rather them than me, you know, rather be judged by 12 than be carried by 6. All right. So, you know, got to think about everybody's interests. You know what I mean? If you see an officer, nod to them and let them know, like, hey, I'm just here to do my civic duty as a protester, if that's what you're going to do. All right. So, but by no means participate in any violence. Now, there will be people that join these protesters. They join the protest that will want violence and chaos. There are anarchists out there. You know what I mean? There are people that want to see the fall of Western civilization, all of that wild stuff that you ever heard of. There are people that are mass murderers and killers and things like that. And that's another reason for somebody like Alex, you know what I'm saying, Pretti, to have his gun. It could be some crazy person just come out there and say they hate anti-ICE protesters and try to gun everybody down or try to run people over. We have seen this type of stuff take place. Okay. So a citizen, like, you know, if I'm out there with Mr. Pretti and somebody, some crazy dude pull up with an AR and Pretti pull out that fire, you know what I'm saying? And hey, the police ain't too quick to shoot nothing or do anything with a crazy person that's trying to shoot up the crowd or whatever. It could be terrorist attacks, all kinds of things, you know, where there's a citizen that's, you know, the first responder. All right. And now in the Constitution and in the state constitutions, we talk about, you know, a armed militia. Okay. You know, and, you know, classically, for all of you constitutionalists out there, if you're over 21 and you're a white man, by law, you're supposed to have a gun. Okay. In most of those states, that are Southern or that were a part of the Western expansion, you look at that, like in Florida, it's definitely there. Okay. So, you might have a citizen who has a gun that could protect you if you're a protester or just a standard by. You could just be walking by and you don't know anything about a protest or anything, and so you have a terrorist pull out, do whatever. So, you know, it's unfortunate. You know, here in West Palm Beach, there is always a law enforcement presence. That is, the police in West Palm Beach are great. All right, I'm gonna be honest. Like, they don't harass you. They're not too quick to pull you over to give you a ticket or anything like that. You know what I mean? You really have to be doing criminal shit to get pulled over and fucked with by them. I'm just being real, and I'm not just saying that to kiss ass, but when we do have protests, they are there to ensure that people are protected, and, you know, they're looking for any kind of signs of like any kind of like wild shit, terrorist attacks or whatever that could be taking place. So usually a lot of protests here in West Palm Beach go without a hitch. All right, so I'm going to continue this forward, and I'll get into my sermon.
I'm going to turn now to Ryan Riley and tell us what you are getting a sense of. We know that Greg Bovino left Minneapolis today. He had been the commander of Border Patrol, who was positioned there for a long time, drew a lot of controversy. Now Tom Homan is in charge. Is it clear to you how operations in Minneapolis could change, what it would look like under Homan versus Bovino?
Yeah, with Bovino, I mean, it was not only, as you pointed to, his actions on the streets there, but he was also getting into fights on social media with sitting members of Congress, which was kind of extraordinary. He had this sort of, role that was created specifically for him in this structure. It was not a position that existed before, and obviously getting in addition to those actions on the streets, a lot of the rhetoric that he's been using about this, including instantly labeling the officers who killed the victim in this case as the victims and the victim as some sort of suspect, I think was
And you see that I want y'all to look at something. It's more of like one of them us versus them type of scenarios. So when I went to the protest the other day here in West Palm Beach, the police was just sitting there and the people were protesting. All right. You didn't see like a thing where it was a us versus them. You could look at the officers. They all of them looking like ghosts out there. Look like said SEAL Team 6 and shit. You know what I'm saying? They got the guns. Like this dude here, he got multiple guns on the chest. You know what I'm saying? With the bulletproof vest. The other dude got the ninja mask and everything like that. They're not even truly in uniform. There's a lot of testosterone being pumped around. A lot of tough guy shit going on, in my opinion. I can tell, look at the environment. The officers don't look organized, and it's more of a us versus them. And you see, watch this dude right here. Look like he throws some tear gas into the crowd. Like, and it's like they're not even approaching him. But watch this
specifically for him in this structure. It was not a position that existed before, and obviously getting in addition to those actions on the streets, a lot of the rhetoric that he's been using about this, including instantly labeling the officers who killed the victim in this case as the victims and the victim as some sort of suspect, I think was in this initial push where the Trump administration was just getting a lot of the plain facts and observable facts that Americans can see with their own eyes out. I mean, with Tom Homan coming in, it is interesting because, of course, Mr. Homan has his own ethical issues aside from this that he's addressed on this very program. He was caught up in this FBI sting operation, which involved a Calva bag filled with $50,000 in cash, allegedly. A part of this investigation. That investigation was shut down. Mr. Homan has denied any criminal wrongdoing, but on this very program, he danced around the question of what exactly happened to that $50,000.
How come I can't stumble across $50,000? So any one of you millionaires out there that's right wing, if you want to help the Octavius, I think my Cash App is right there. And you can send me that kind of money as well. Okay, it just seems like the politicians and all of these people like that can stumble across $50,000 and not get questioned. So if you want to send me some unquestionable $50,000, you know what I mean, be more than welcome. Where's my? How come I ain't stumbled across no goddamn money like that?
In cash that was involved in that investigation. So it is sort of remarkable to have someone with those sort of issues come into this, this very volatile scenario in the position of someone who's going to be sort of a reformer, so to speak. But what he's spoken about in terms of the operation, and typically his rhetoric has been around, is focusing on the worst of the worst. So perhaps we will see some sort of shift. But I think, the people in Minnesota and Minneapolis are certainly going to be waiting.
All right, so we had enough of that. I'm going to give y'all my my take on things. So thank y'all so much for coming in. Please subscribe to the channel. Y'all all I have. Y'all all I have. I do cam up on my other stream. I'm on my bedroom computer. It doesn't have a camera, so I have no problem getting on camera, as you can see on the other page. So if you want to support me on the other page, you want to watch me do the protest, subscribe to this channel. I will share the lives, and go to Octavius Prime, just like the Cash App at the bottom, or Octavius Juan Kenobi Prime. And you can go over there and you can see me go outside here in West Palm Beach and do other things outside of protesting. But you can go over there and witness that. And I greatly, greatly appreciate that. I greatly appreciate, the pro-Trump people, the anti-ICE people, the right-wingers that believe in the Second Amendment, and I'm somewhere in the middle with all of that, to be honest. I'm somewhere in the middle with all of that. So Google's talking. But I just want to say that I think that, I don't know that African Americans are tired of marching, and it's very understandable. I have decided to make a stance myself as a foundational African American man to support life because of my own personal beliefs and my Christian beliefs and the preservation of life, which is in these days and time a right wing mindset. You know, I mean, even when it comes down to abortion, I'm anti-abortion, and probably most of the people that I'm out there are pro-life, pro-choice, or whatever. Or as you see, there were even members of the LGBT out there at the protest, at the protest meeting this Sunday. So I don't have a problem with that at all. I know what my personal beliefs are. And like I said, I was there at the Black Lives Matter marches and everything like that. But I just want to say that we as African Americans, or from, you know, being an African American Black man, seeing what happened with George Floyd, you know, and what happened with Derek Chauvin, you know, with that murder that took place. I think that took place in Minnesota as well. So that took place as well. And seeing the different response from Congress, from the president, as far as we had almost tear up the country. The country had almost get tore up, boycotts and things like that for there just to be a piece of justice in that situation. But nevertheless, I'm glad that Mr. Pretti, or Alex, is getting his just due, and there's an independent investigation that will ensue, because he was obviously killed by a federal agent, and so this is a federal investigation because of it. This goes beyond the state. This is federal, and hopefully there's some justice that can come out of it. Hopefully the truth can come out of the situation with Mr. Pretti, as far as his for his family, for his community. As you can see, I was at the meeting the other day. The other black guy that was there spoke on the fact that he works for the VA. They're part of the same union group, and how this affects even people states away that are tied to Alex in certain ways. Okay. And what I'm asking for, what I'm there for, as far as for immigration, I do believe that, you know, the law must be respected. The borders must be patrolled the right way. But if there's going to be anything that takes place, we must respect human life and human decency and human dignity. And for me to stand down when that is taking place with any group here in America, with an American man, understanding that racism never retired in the United States. And for those that believe racism doesn't exist, there's been a lot of Hispanics who felt that way. You know, when they both voted Republican, they voted pro-Trump. You know, there's even memes on Instagram where there were women who love Donald Trump. All right, they're talking about Donald Trump, right? But then they came and got that same particular person that was pro Donald Trump. Okay, I should be back. All right. And now we have it where we have a new we have it where this is what people wanted. This is what people voted for. They wanted Border Patrol. They wanted to get these immigrants up out of here. And you have government initiative. You have all the backing of the federal government to get this program going. I know at one point they were saying that if you was an ICE officer, they want to see, hey, how many arrests do you have? Okay. How many arrests, how many immigrants have you taken up? How many people have you questioned? Things like that. Just like they want, if you are a protester, they want you to canvass at some point. If you're a dedicated protester, you got to get out there and canvass. That means go out and recruit other people to come to the protest. All right. Just say, hey, can you come to the protest? We're going to have a protest on this day. Okay. Same thing with ICE. There's a quota to a certain degree. We got to get a certain amount of immigrants. We crash in construction sites, farms, wherever they go, Home Depot, you know. Like, it used to go to the Home Depots around here, and you'll see the Guatemalans standing out looking for people to come up with a truck and some work, asking them to do some work, lay some grass or something during the day for extra little money when they just got here to the United States. That's what I see when it comes down to that. That's what I see when it comes down to that. That's my idea on it. That's what I see when it comes down to what's going on. Idea on it. That's what I see when it comes down to what's going on. I think it's not the same as being a white person in America, and I think white people will agree with that in private. Okay, you know, a lot of white people will agree with that. That's not what it is, and it's about power. It's about control. It's about who's going to be ruling the United States of America in the next 100 years. And if you have a population that's coming from other countries south of the border, or from Haiti, or from the Caribbean, that were not born here, please believe these things will be enacted. And it does not matter. And I want to give y'all this promise. It does not matter who's in office, because, like I said, white hegemony is the secret amendment to the Constitution. Okay, it's one of the things that is going to be. It's one of the things that is those that are in power in Congress. Although they can be progressive as they want to be, they don't want to have a future where their children have to answer to any Hispanics, any Caribbean people, any black people, for the most part, where they're in the majority and there's a white minority in the United States of America. They will fight against that. Okay, they will rage against the machine when it comes down to this inclusiveness of, you know, all people. Okay, now a lot of people in the chat that maybe roasted me, a lot of trolls are roasting me or whatever. I get it, but they know that I'm telling the truth about this. They know that I'm telling the truth about this. So in the meantime, what I can do as an American, as an African American, as a foundational Black American, as being related to Native Americans here in the United States, of Rockanu, Cherokee, you know, Indians, okay, Cherokee Indians, and my great grandmother was Seminole, which was part. They never gave up their sovereign right. Okay, so being even a part of that, I do understand that we, as all Americans, what we can do as working class, we must respect that we are in the working class together. Okay, and that being in the working class, you are here to pay taxes and be a quiet little lamb, while the billionaires want to design your future and plan out your future, just like your boss tells you what to do, and you clock in or whatever, you get your little paycheck, and then you go and give it to your wife, or, you know, to your kids, send them to college, and then you retire and you die. Okay, you know what I mean? So you gotta understand, this is the plan for you. Okay, this is the plan for you. Go to a retirement home or something by the time you hit 75 or something like that, then you forgot about. Okay. Now, if you want to have more of a purposeful driven life, you know what I'm saying, fight for the Constitution, no matter what race that you are. Fight for the Constitution, fight for the rule of law. I agree with the NRA when it comes down to Alex having the right to bear arms. Like I say, Alex could have been the one to stop a terrorist attack with his firearm, and he would have been in his lawful right to do so. Okay. So how many citizens we have had that went to protest that had the right to carry arms? They didn't, but a terrorist did. Okay. A terrorist showed up, and all they had was their sign. Okay. All they had was their sign. All right. So, you know, this is a Republican issue, libertarian issue. This is a Democratic issue. This is an independent issue. And I'm an independent. You know what I mean? I see problems in, like I said, I'm not pro-choice. I'm not pro-choice. I'm pro-life when it comes to white life, black life, police life. You know what I'm saying? Blue lives matter, black lives matter, white lives matter, Asian lives matter, Indian lives matter. Everybody lives matter in my book, okay? In my book, I have to answer to my God about my own personal beliefs, okay? And if I can support in some kind of way, I will when it comes to the loss of life of any person. Like I was there for Trayvon Martin, there for George Floyd, protests with Black Lives Matter. I'm here for this as well. So I thank y'all for coming out. I had a little issue with the comments popping up on the stream, so the comments will be there if you want to catch the replay. Sorry for the internet disturbances. All right, sorry for the internet issues or whatever. It happens from time to time. I have to figure it out on this computer. On the other computer, it doesn't happen as bad, so I'll do that next time. Cammed up, you can see me, see who I am. Please subscribe to Octavius Prime, my main channel. Subscribe to this channel. Thank y'all coming out for supporting, and we'll do this from time to time. And I greatly appreciate you. No matter your political beliefs, you're more than welcome here. I did drop the phone number if you guys want to call in, but maybe next time we'll do that again, and we'll look at the news and do reviews. And thank y'all so much for this new venture that I'm on. Hit the like button, and this is where we're going from time to time. All right. But on the main channel, that's where you're going to see me live in action on the streets of West Palm Beach and other places. Thank you.